Well, let's prop it up. On Monday, one with the Niners. Tuesday, let's go with the Kansas City Chiefs. Team total over under 27.5. We'll give the answers to all of these. Patrick Mahomes, over 300.5 pass yards. Damian Williams, the running back, 51 and a hook on the ground. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, both 74 and a hook receiving. All right, so trips right or left, however you're looking at the screen. We got Kenny White, Todd Fuhrman, and Pete Prisco on Radio Row in Miami. Let's start with the Chiefs total, 27.5. In the last 10 Super Bowls, a team has scored at least 28 10 times. Sometimes it happens both in the same game. Kansas City has done it in both playoff games after doing so 7 times during the regular season. Kenny White, what do you say?
I'm going to go over with Kansas City. I made the total in this game 56. I made Kansas City 1.5-point favorite. So I was looking at 29-27 final in that range. So not football scores. So I got to round it up. 30-27 Kansas City. So give me over.
Todd, we'll take your insight next.
Well, when I look at this game, I actually lean towards the 49ers here, but I don't think there's a ton of wiggle room. So I'm going to make a slight case for going under the total here. I think San Francisco's defense might be a little bit overrated, but I worry about the amount of possessions we're going to see in this football game. I think so much of what the 49ers want to do is to run the football, take time off the clock, and put the pressure on Patrick Mahomes. If this team starts slowly, we know they can get on a roll. We've seen that momentum carry them through the wins each of the last 2 rounds. But at 27.5, I just feel it's a little bit rich. Slight lean to the under, but it's not something I'm running to bet.
I'm going with the over. I think the Chiefs are going to get there. I think they'll score 31. I think this is going to be one of those games where there's more points than we expect. I know the 49ers have been dominant on defense. They have problems with mobile quarterbacks. And if you look back, Russell Wilson had success against them in 2 games, and I think you saw Kyler Murray have success against them. So I think getting Mahomes outside the pocket will create the big plays, and I think he's good.
I just had to help you and Kenny out, so there's no kiss of death here. So at least that way there's going to be a winner on this particular prop.
If we have a kiss of death, we have problems.
I like the strategy, fellas. Well, if the point total does in fact go over, it starts with the aforementioned Mahomes. Passing total currently set at 300 and a hook. He's averaging 287 per game this season. Todd, do you like this one over or under?
I actually like this one over because I think Kansas City knows that all the talk is about San Francisco and their number 1 ranked secondary, giving up less than 175 yards per game. But you dig into some of those numbers and you look when they stepped up in class. The Seahawks had success throwing on them. The New Orleans Saints had success. Even the Los Angeles Rams in Week 16, a game the 49ers had to win. So I think when you look at this Chiefs team, Eric Bieniemy, he put his target on Patrick Mahomes' back along with the rest of the team, saying every play they scheme up is designed to score a touchdown. Well, you know what? Go out there, put your money where your mouth is. Trust your best player to go out there and make plays, whether it's 6 yards, 7 yards a pop. I think Patrick Mahomes and company goes over this number. I like him over 300.5.
Yeah, I like him over as well. I don't think it's going to be a huge over that number. I made it 305, so I'm a barely over that. But I got to root for Patrick Mahomes. He is the best quarterback in the NFL. So many playmakers. And as Pete mentioned, he's going to get outside the pocket because the 49ers pass rush will do that to you. I think that's just going to be a good thing for him. He's not as effective number-wise, but in this type of game, one game, big setting, and the playmakers he has, I think they're going to have some big, long gains. The 49ers haven't given those type of numbers up to a lot of teams, but again, a mobile quarterback like this, I think he puts up the numbers. Pete?
I think he's going under. And I say that because it's not going to go far, and I think probably going to get 285. I think what he's going to go over on is touchdowns. I do think he's going to throw touchdowns. I just don't think he's going to put up the big passing numbers, 285 and maybe 3. So I'm going to take the under in this one.
Todd, you've had your eye on Mahomes' rush yards all playoffs long. I'm pretty sure you cashed that one in the first quarter of the AFC title game. 30.5 the number in the Super Bowl. Where are you leaning on that?
Well, I think odds makers have done a good job. I mean, I went over numbers as low as 16.5 last round against the Tennessee Titans, so it's not lost on anybody when you look at Mahomes' big carry. We've seen it on loop on highlight reels ever since that big win. But I still think this number is actually a little bit low. But there's a better prop out there, and I'm not sure, Kenny, if you saw it. Westgate made Mahomes a 20.5-yard favorite against Jimmy Garoppolo. For me, that almost feels like it's a slam dunk. If you figure Jimmy G's good for maybe 5 to 7 yards, Mahomes gets the 30, and it gives you a chance to cash that. 32.5, I feel a fair number. I'd much rather hold an over ticket than an under ticket, but I don't think it's a slam dunk it was against Tennessee.
I feel like that's a misprint because they did have Garoppolo at 3.5 yards and 30.5 on Mahomes. So the math there, simple math. It's the new math.
You know, every now and
27.
again, at Jeff and Jay let one get by the goalie, so you have to try and take full advantage.
That definitely moved. But Todd put us onto this Mahomes running the football in the rushing yards 3 games ago, because you know what? These games are so important now. You see it all the time. Quarterbacks that can run will use their legs to be a weapon, and I think it continues on, and we see the number go up higher. But it's gonna be. I think he just continues to go over that number. I agree. Over 30. It was 30.5. Todd just said 32.5. I don't know how high it can go. I can't go over much more than that, though.
It's going over. He's going to run it outside the pocket. They have problems with mobile quarterbacks, like I mentioned, and they're going to get him outside, and he's going to create plays. When they played the Chargers a couple times, he ran the football because he didn't have anywhere to throw the football. I think he's going to run the football this game.
All right, so let's stay on the ground. And, Pete, let's start with you for running back Damian Williams. He went over his prop total of 51 and a hook 4 times this year. It's hard to believe. Last year, his longest rush was 25 yards all season. Pete, what do you have?
I'm going over. And again, I don't think they're going to run the ball that much, but I do think he's going to have some success running the ball. The 49ers are very good, but we've seen teams, look, the Falcons went in there and beat them. I think this defense is beatable. I think they're going to be able to run a little bit on them. They don't run the ball much. They throw it 65% of the time on first and second downs when the game is undecided. That tells you what they want to do. But I think he's going to go over this number. Not by a lot, but he's going to get over it.
Pete, I agree with you. I think, a couple things when I look at Mahomes getting rushing yards. When you think about all the weapons the Chiefs have, and everybody really almost on post patterns, the secondary's got to play a little bit deeper. You got to be moving back. The rush, the 4 guys on the defensive line, they're trying to get after him as fast as possible. Just leaves the middle of the field open. So I really think Williams is going to have a big day. I think he's going to have a big day getting screens and also running on draw plays. So I'm going to go over as well. Hopefully Todd will be against us.
I am going to be against you, but I think you hit the nail on the head talking about him. Pete, we discussed it earlier. We think Williams' value can come as a receiver as much as anything else he's going to do in this football game. So the best way to slow down this 49ers pass rush, allow Damian Williams to leak out, find him on screen passes. So I'd feel more comfortable going over on his total yards, rushing and receiving, than I would just rushing, because I'm not sure how stubborn Andy Reid's going to be. If the 49ers are able to slow down the run, hey, trust Patrick Mahomes to make plays. Let your playmakers get the ball in space, and don't try and bang your head into a brick wall time and time again. So I'd lead under on just rushing, but I like his total yardage over.
The lock of the game is Williams catching over his total of 3.5 passes.
Yep,
That's
I agree.
Put it out there.
Yep, I agree.
I love that. But if not by land, then it must be by air. Tyreek Hill's receiving total set at 74.5 yards. Hill has not eclipsed that mark since a dominant performance November 10th against the Titans. Todd, what's the case for Mahomes' downfield target here?
I'm going to go over. I feel like this is a sign of insanity. I keep doing the same thing over and over again with Tyreek Hill, expecting him to go over his total, but eventually something has to give, and ultimately I think it's the lack of speed that the 49ers have in their back end. We saw Richard Sherman when he was isolated against Devontae Adams. Adams made him look really bad, and the zone coverage is only going to do so much to try and prevent Tyreek Hill from slipping through the coverage at least one time. You give Andy Reid multiple weeks, he's going to find unique wrinkles and ways to get his playmakers in space. Begrudgingly, because it's cost me so much money, I'm going over with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I'm going to go over as well. 300 passing yards for Mahomes. He's got to get somebody's got to get some yardage. And I know Hill's going to be a guy that does have a couple of big plays against the 49er defense. So that makes it 2. Are we in a lock agreement here, Pete?
Yes, we are.
We are.
Kiss to death. Kiss to death. Kiss to death.
And again, I think they'll do a good job of limiting the big plays, but with this guy, there's always going to be one. And it happened against the Chargers. In the Chargers game, one of those Chargers games, they did a great job on him, and he got in the middle of the field for a 49-yard gain. He gets one of those, he goes over. I think it goes over again.
All right, stay in the air. Kenny, let's start with you. That same total is 74.5 for Travis Kelce. You got to lay a little extra for the over. What do you think?
Yeah, again, I said the pass rush is coming after Mahomes. The secondary is backpedaling. The middle of the field is wide open, and I think Kelce has another big game. I have him at 85 yards. I got a 10-yard advantage there. Pete, what do you say?
I think it's going over as well. I think this Chiefs offense is going to throw the football, not for giant numbers, but good enough numbers. They're going to run the ball. I think it's going to be a consistent offensive performance by him. And people think you're crazy. You're playing the 49ers defense, but I think if you block them, you beat them, and the Chiefs offensive line's playing well.
So you guys are going to love me because I'm going to make a case for the under on this prop. When I look at Travis Kelce, he's a guy, though, that I would wait as long as possible. He's a household name. We talk about it all the time. The public loves to bet a lot of the marquee players over their totals. So this is one, if you're going to go under with Kelce, you wait till Sunday afternoon. You hope you have the best number. I like his catch number over over, but I think when you look at the 49ers, the athletic linebackers they have in Fred Warner and Quan Alexander are going to neutralize Kelce a little bit, try and take away some of those big gains. So I could see a scenario where he has 7 or 8 catches, but we're talking about him finishing the high 60s or low 70s. Not a massive edge, just more of a lean than anything else.
We have our 3 best all in one place, so I would be remiss if I did not ask. We need a game pick, fellas. Let's pick this one at 1 in favor of Kansas City right now. Kenny, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, I have Kansas City minus the 1 in this game. It's going to be a really close game. And I said if they played 100 times, I think Kansas City wins 51. San Francisco would win 49 times. But in this one matchup, I'm going to give the edge to Andy Reid in preparing his team, having the 2 weeks. In week 1, in his 7 years as a chief head coach, 6-1 straight up, 5-2 ATS, where it's fair and the teams have the same amount of time to prepare. And I'll take the best quarterback in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes.
I'm taking Patrick Mahomes too, but I do not love this game. I'll be honest with you. This was a tough pick for me. I respect the 49ers, what they do. I think there's a stat out there. Any team in the league that's had 57 or more sacks going into the Super Bowl is 10-0 in that game. So it'll be interesting to see how they play it, but I do think they're going to block them. I love Mahomes, and let's be honest about it. Yeah. They all come down to quarterbacks, and this is going to be Mahomes against Garoppolo. I'll take Mahomes minus the small number.
Put me back on Todd Island, gentlemen, because I'm doing it all on my own. You look at Andy Reid, 221 victories as a head coach. That's the most for anybody that doesn't have a Super Bowl title. He's going to have to rack up a few more. And the one stat Pete mentioned talking about sacks, the team that wins the rushing battle. We've gone through 53 Super Bowls. The team that wins the rushing battle, 40-12-1. Somehow there was a tie somewhere in the mix. Not quite sure how that happened. But I like San Francisco, and it's not because of their defense against Kansas City's offense. I think this San Francisco offense has had it here for the last 2 weeks about how Jimmy Garoppolo is just a game manager. They're limited with some of their big play potential. But Kyle Shanahan, he's had to live with that stigma, that 28-3 blown lead as an offensive coordinator for the Falcons. Give me the 49ers here, plus the 1.
Kenny White, Todd Fuhrman, and Pete Prisco. Unmatched analysis. We appreciate it, fellas. Let's take another look at those prop picks when it comes to KC. There is no consensus other than Tyreek Hill over 74.5 receiving yards. You got 2 out of 3 everywhere you look at. Team total, 27.5 for the Chiefs. Pete, Kenny loving the over. Todd fading it, likes the under. Mahomes, we got an over, and an under. Pete thinks that Pat Mahomes will have a big day right around that 300, but might not get over it. Kenny had it right around 305 as well, so a tough one to pick right there. Williams, we got an over, an under, and an over. Pete Prisco says the lock of the game, the lock of the season is over 3.5 receptions for Williams. As we said, 3 overs with Hill, and then Travis Kelce, with an over, an under, and a Pete Prisco over.
You may not know the name Art Manteris, but longtime fans of prop betting know exactly who he is. Manteris is the father of the modern prop bet. He came up with the idea as a gimmick in the 80s. The very first prop bet, you're watching it, was whether or not William Refrigerator Perry would score a touchdown for the Bears in the '85 Super Bowl. The odds started at 20-1, but were down to 2-1 at game time, and Perry, who had scored 3 touchdowns during the regular season, did go in from a yard out, forcing Caesar's Palace to pay out big. And a new form of betting was born. As we head towards Super Bowl 54, here's some notes to keep an eye on as you look to invest in certain places. The favorite has won 34 of the past 53 Super Bowls. The favorites of 3 points or less, 8 and 7. Niners 6-1 against the spread in their past 7 games versus teams with a winning record. Kansas City 7-0-1 against the spread in their past 8. Well, for more on how you can invest in the game this weekend, let's now bring in CBS Sports and Sportsline insider Emory Hunt. We want to go through some of the prop bets available for the big game on Sunday, Emory. Let's start with the biggest player bet. Who will win the MVP? The 2 quarterbacks are the obvious picks here. Who do you like?
I like Pat Mahomes in this matchup because I think Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs will win the game. So about how much is irrelevant because we know this is a quarterback essentially award. Guys have to do something extraordinary to win MVP away from a quarterback. So I'm going with Pat Mahomes to win.
But there's not a lot of value there, Emory.
Right, because I believe everyone feels as though the Chiefs will run away with this ball game, and Pat Mahomes is a much better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's going to do some wild things. So it's kind of like a layup. Easy money for people to win there by picking Pat Mahomes to take home the MVP.
All right, easy money. I'll go with it. First touchdown of the game is That's always a good bet. Longer odds on the quarterbacks here with Mahomes at 20-1, Jimmy G at 25-1. Who do you like to score the first touchdown of the Super Bowl?
That's a tricky odd right there. I'm going to go with Raheem Mostert. I think he's going to find a way to get into the end zone first before anyone. San Francisco lives and dies by their run game. He has that breakaway speed, so he doesn't need much to create. And if you give him a little crease, he has the speed to hit the home run. I think he's due for a big play, a chunk play in this game. So I would lay the money on him to get the first touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Well, and you can get 200 to 1 on no touchdown being scored in the game. You want to maybe just throw a tenner on that. Football game, 4 quarters plus overtime if required. And if you're a Chiefs fan and playing which quarter will be the highest scoring, second quarter might be your choice based on how their playoff run has gone, and the odds certainly reflect that. But the Super Bowl has always got other ideas for you. Which quarter are you in on to be the highest scoring here, Emory?
Definitely not the first quarter, because that's when everyone is still trying to figure out each other tendencies, and they're trying to figure out the pace of the game, and they're nervous, all those good things like that. But I'm going to say the third quarter. Coming after halftime, the adjustments, the nerves have settled. That's when we start to see the game kick into high gear. So I would say the third quarter is going to be the most high-scoring part of this game. So if I had a choice, I would put the money on the third quarter being the highest-scoring one.
All right. With odds of 40-1 on a pick six being the first scoring play of the Super Bowl, I might throw some money down on that one. With these two defenses especially, you're getting 3-1 with these defenses on it being a touchdown pass for that first play. What's your advice here?
You look at how Kansas City plays, so you could definitely see the first score being a touchdown pass with Pat Mahomes, but with Raheem Mostert in that run game, you can go either way. But with the way the Chiefs tend to throw the football, I will say that's more likely. But because I already said Raheem Mostert will score the first touchdown in the Super Bowl, I'm going to go ahead and say a rushing touchdown. Who will go ahead on and be the first one to score?
Yeah, you got to follow that one up, right? If you're picking Raheem Mostert for the first score, you got to get it. It's got to be a running play, you'd think. Let's talk about Mostert. A number of props involving him, from number of carries to yards rushing to yards receiving to total yards from scrimmage. The guys talked about it earlier in the program. If you're betting on Raheem Mostert, where are you finding the most value?
I'm finding the most value in the rush yards. I think they're going to have to lean on him to win. If I had to choose, it will be between Raheem Mostert being the leading rusher and definitely over the yard total right there on the screen, but also in Deva Samuel being the guy that's going to be the leading receiver for San Francisco. So those two playmakers, they're going to have to run their offense through those guys. So I'm going to lean on Raheem Mostert hitting the over on that yardage total.
Emory, I just have to ask you, this is just a feeling I have, but I want to ask it anyways. Are you looking at Matt Breda at all in this game?
Not really, but I wouldn't not see him having success, because all of their running backs have all the same attributes. They're about 6 feet, about 195, 215 pounds, blazing speed, one-cut downhill runners. And so they could interchangeably put those guys in the game and have those guys have success. Tevin Coleman is another one. So you look at all of their backs, each one has the capability to do what Mostert does, but I'm just more comfortable with Mostert because of the consistency he has shown over the last part of the season and also in these playoffs.
And, of course, we can't forget about Kansas City Chiefs running back Damian Williams. So you can certainly throw some money down on him as well. He is CBS Sports and Sportsline analyst Emory Hunt. Thanks, Emory. Great stuff as always.
We can't talk about any props, though, without our own. John Breech joining us, a.k.a. Mr. Cabo himself. And Breech, I was on the bandwagon with you last week in Titans. The seat was there, but it stopped at Arrowhead. What happened?
The bandwagon crashed off a cliff on the way to Kansas City. We all saw it happen. Luckily, I survived to pick another game.
All right. Let you live another week. So let's start with Jimmy G, though. Didn't have to use his arm much last week with the three-headed monster in Mostert, Coleman, and Breda. Chances he completes his first pass, though, in Super Bowl 54.
Now, you see that yes down there, negative 200, does not have a great payoff, but I still love this prop because Kyle Shanahan is great at scheming his guys open. He makes things easy on Jimmy Garoppolo. And you know what? He loves to see Jimmy get comfortable. And an easy way to get comfortable is to complete that first pass. The reason I absolutely love the yes here is because Jimmy Garoppolo has completed his first pass in 11 of his past 12 games. For me, that is a pretty strong indication that's going to happen in the Super Bowl. I'm going to take the yes here at the negative 200.
All right, let's stick with Garoppolo and his arm here. So far, Jimmy G hasn't been able to quite let it fly. Just 208 passing yards in 2 games. Assuming he'll need to do a little more this time around, the over-under set at 239.5. Jimmy G passing based on what's done so far. Where are you going here?
Yeah, Brandon, we've both been watching the 49ers play in the playoffs this year, and it's like Shanahan has forgotten that Jimmy Garoppolo's on his team. It is run, 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 run. I think we're going to see more of that in the Super Bowl because the Chiefs struggled so much against the run in the regular season. I know they slowed down Derrick Henry in the AFC title game, but the 49ers rushing attack is a completely different animal. They have a 3-headed dragon compared to one Derrick Henry because they have Matt Breda, they have Tevin Coleman, they have Raheem Mostert, who blew up in the NFC title game. So I think they're going to stick to that ground game rushing plan and only go to Jimmy Garoppolo when they need to. So I am taking the under here.
Oh, okay. All right. Switching to another gunslinger, Patrick Mahomes. The line's at a 38.5 over under passing attempts against the Texans and Titans. They actually passed 35 times apiece. Essentially, do you see the 2018 MVP going over or staying under that mark?
Yeah, you look at Patrick Mahomes started in 16 games this year because he missed those 2 due to injury. So including the playoffs, he started 16 games. He only went over 38.5 5 times. The Chiefs went 3-2 in those games. When he went under 38.5, they went 10-1. So it feels like the game is getting away from the Chiefs when they're forced to throw the ball a lot. So yes, their offense is prolific in the pass, but Andy Reid definitely tries to keep things even between the run game and the pass game. I think he's going to try that in the Super Bowl, keep the 49ers defense on their heels so they don't know what's coming next. I think Patrick Mahomes goes under 38.5.
All right, we're showing a lot of love for the QBs here with Breech. We got to cover all phases of the game. Have to show a little love to the kickers. Are you taking the chances of both of them actually making a field goal longer than 33 yards?
Hey, I am all about the kicker love here. If you look at the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan has turned into Mr. Field Goal. He is sending Robbie Gould out there for everything. Gould hit 5 field goals in 2 playoff games. He's kicked a field goal of more than 30 yards in 5 of his past 6 games. You look at the Chiefs, Harrison Butker was one of the most accurate kickers in the NFL this year. Andy Reid never hesitated to use him. And one thing about the Chiefs is that their offense is so good that you might think, hey, they're going to score a bunch of touchdowns. The 49ers defense kind of cancels them out. I think they'll be able to slow down Kansas City, which means we're going to see a lot of Butker. I think this one hits. Both teams hit a field goal of more than 33 yards, and I love the even money play there too.
All right, the shortest touchdown of the game, over under 1.5. I would go 49ers here with Jimmy G and maybe hand it off to one of those 3 guys in the backfield. But you can say the same thing with the Mahomes and a Damian Williams. But which team do you see banging one in here from short distance?
Yeah, the under is enticing here at that negative 160, but that means you have to get a 1-yard score. Will a 1-yard score happen? Well, it seems pretty common. You get a pass interference in the end zone, you set up at the 1-yard line. There are a lot of ways a 1-yard score can happen, but I do not think it's going to happen. I love the over. I love the money you can make betting that over. If you look at the Chiefs, they have only had 1 1-yard touchdown in their past 14 games. The 49ers have only had 1 1-yard touchdown in their past 10 games. So these are 2 offenses that can score from all over the field. They rarely score from just 1 yard away. And at plus 140, you're going to pay me 140. If I bet 100, I'm going to take that all day for 2 teams that have not scored from the 1-yard line pretty much all year.
All right, so no QB sneaks for Mahomes and Jimmy G. All right, we'll see. First score of the game, though, and you're looking at Kansas City, a team that started slow the last 2 games. San Francisco, they were able to score in their first 2 opening possessions, their last 2 games. Which way are you going here with these 2?
Yeah, this is a very, very interesting prop just because the touchdown is weighted so heavily here. But if you look at past Super Bowls, you have teams that haven't been there. You have quarterbacks that haven't been there. Teams get a little nervous. You get those offensive jitters. And what you see is that drives don't end with touchdowns. They end with field goals. If you took the touchdown in the past 2 Super Bowls, you lost because it was field goals in the past 2 Super Bowls were the first scores. If you took touchdown, you would lose 4 of the past 6 Super Bowls. So I am taking any other score here just because I love the value there at plus 160.
All right, a problem or not a problem for both teams, possibly leading into the fourth, a lead change. Neither team has had to worry about that yet in the postseason. The Chiefs, of course, blowing their competition out. The same thing for the Niners on that side. But is there a chance we can take the odds that this might happen next Sunday?
Yeah, this prop basically comes down to whether or not you think this is going to be a close game, and I absolutely think this is going to be a close game. As a matter of fact, I think it's going to be so close, we're going to see multiple lead changes in the fourth quarter. So I think the yes is a lock. And if you look at the value here, you're going to more than double your money if there is just one lead change in the fourth quarter in a game where the point spread's 1 point. I am all over that. I think this is going to be a game that's going to go down to the wire, and I think we're going to see multiple lead changes. So I think this one hits easy.
All right, Breech, I'm going to follow you again. I promise you, we need to start planning for Cabo or something. Jeremy wants to go too, so let's just make this work. Fingers crossed. All right, John Breech here laying it on the line and taking a look at his picks again. Go with Jimmy G, completing his first pass, first score of the game. Maybe not a touchdown at plus 160. Then taking the under for Jimmy G of 239 passing yards. Patrick Mahomes, the under of 38.5 passing attempts. Breech, you got to go to Cabo. Hope this all pans out.
All right, one of the great things about the Super Bowl, in addition to the fact that you watch the commercials, in addition to the fact that the halftime act is seen by 100 million people, is that you can bet on just about anything. Of course, there are the football props you see here, and we're going to get to those. But there are some really crazy other props, too. Akeem, do you have a favorite one of those? What's Demi Lovato, what's her outfit going to be? How many outfit changes in the halftime show?
What color microphone will she be having in her hand?
Really?
Yeah, the color microphone. I mean,
how many times they will mention that the Kansas City Chiefs have a female coach, which is the first coach
49ers.
in the Super Bowl? 49ers.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
There's any puppy bowl props.
Will the MVP be a male or female? Will a puppy try to mate during the Super Puppy Bowl is one of the props.
Sounds like a Tim Doyle prop, if there ever was.
Probably is.
All right, let's prop it up. Kenny White, the Wizard of Odds. Will Brinson. Look at that. There you go. That's it.
What are we doing?
I don't know, but I know I'm going to like it. So let's start with Kenny. Largest lead by either team at any point in the game. It's an even money prop, and it's 14.5. So what this means, if people can't understand that quite, is any team going to have a 15-point lead at any time in the game? Yes or no? Kenny, you're up.
Yeah, I'm going to say no. This football game, I've said if they played 100 times, Kansas City's going to win 51. San Francisco's going to win 49. Of course, there'll be a couple games that could get out of hand, but I think this is going to be a great in-game betting opportunity. When one team scores, I think the other team comes back to score. The defenses are good. The offenses are good. Remember, San Francisco's offense averages more points than Kansas City. So I think both teams can score when they need to. So I'm going to say no. I'm wearing the glasses because I saw Will Brinson 2 days ago out here with glasses. I figured I could wear them.
At night? In that camera. Right in that camera.
Yeah, look, I don't think, thank you for that. We're having some audio issues here with my ears. I think I'm going to go under here. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I don't think you're going to see a lot of teams take a lead here. And I just think because of this quick strike offense that you're going to be able to see the Kansas City Chiefs come back quickly if they get down a score. You're going to see the 49ers be able to score efficiently if they need to do it. And I just don't think – I think it's going to be a lower scoring game than most people believe. So I will take the under on the largest lead here.
All right, next up. This is always a good one. Shortest touchdown. 1.5. It seems to always be 1.5, and this is an even money prop. Slightly, close. Basically what they're saying is there going to be a 1-yard touchdown or not? It's a simple yes or no. Kenny White, you're first.
EK, I'm going to give you a 2-cent edge here. The last 8 Super Bowls with a total of 50 or higher, 5 times there was a 1-yard touchdown in 5 of the 8 games. One of the games, there was 4 of them in one game in 98. But 5 out of the 8, that's 62.5%. That's minus 167. So I'm going to lay the 165 because I have a 2-cent edge.
This is a situation where you go out and you get yourself Tim Doyle's hammer and you smash the under on this, because this is going under. There's got to be a 1-yard touchdown in this game. People are scared off of it by last year and that debacle of a Super Bowl that featured 3 points or 3 quarters. There's going to be a 1-yard touchdown. I ran the numbers, guys. Turns out that Damian Williams scored 2,342 touchdowns from 1 yard out this year, so I think we should get one in the Super Bowl.
All right, there you go. I like it. And if you get a pass interference in the end zone, ball going on the 1 yard line, that will help sometimes.
Shortest to the longest. Distance of the longest touchdown. Over under 46.5 yards. Odds are both at -115. Kenny, do we have at least a 47-yard touchdown in Super Bowl 54?
I say yes, we do. We've got a total of 54. The normal game on an everyday Sunday, that's what the average touchdown is, the longest, 46.5. We got the cheetah. We got all kinds of speed. We got Breda. We got Mostert. There's so many guys that can take it to the house. So I'm going to say yes, it'll go over 46.5.
Yep, over for me as well. When you got to talk about Tyreek Hill, you talk about all these speed guys. Damian Williams has busted some long runs as well. George Kittle, a yak monster. Travis Kelce, too. And even Patrick Mahomes, heck, he could take off and run over easily.
Right. You know, there's one that involves this, and that is it's an even money prop. Will the longest score of the game be a touchdown or a field goal? Which is an interesting one.
That is a good one.
We may get to that one a little later in the week. I looked at that one. I thought about going touchdown. That's an interesting one I like, too, as well.
That's a really good one. All right, here's another one that you really got to break down the numbers. Total net offensive yards, over under 769.5. Odds are both at -115 here. For a little bit of context, the two teams have averaged a combined 762 yards per game this postseason, so perhaps you take that into consideration. Kenny, over or under 769.5?
Yeah, we got to calculate in the defense, though. Both these defenses are outstanding. I say this is way too high. My model has it at 744. I'm going to go under that number. I still think the game may get close to the total, though, even with less than that yardage.
I will go under as well. I think when you look at these two teams and you check out the advanced analytics, you realize that they're actually pretty methodical in terms of their approach to offense. They're not afraid to dink and dunk. They want to keep the other offense off the field. A little bit less yardage with some longer drives here.
I love the under.
Yeah, me too.
I got to check and see what they're actually counting and not counting. You know, how much does sack yards come off? What about, this yard, that yard? But overall, if we're just talking about total yards
net, I think, yeah.
Yeah, then I love the under. I think it's a terrific battle. I'm with the guys on this one.
Just all going on.
Yep.
Let's go all in on it.
I love it. Next up, how about this one? Longest made field goal, right? We talked about longest touchdown, longest made field goal right there as well. 46.5. It may rain on Saturday. Obviously, they're going to have a tarp on the field. And Sunday's supposed to be a nice day. That was the first thing I looked at before I wanted to explore this one. Kenny White, what are you going to do at 46.5 and a couple of pretty good kickers?
Yeah, I look back in the Super Bowl history last 20 years. The median long field goal in these games are 43.5. And now we're playing at sea level where the ball doesn't carry as far. There's a lot of pressure on these guys kicking field goals, maybe more than any other player. So I'm going to go under the 46.5.
I think I've got the over here, but it might scare me a little bit. I tend to think, more and more I think about it with these two good kickers and their ability to take shots from distance. I think we could see a longer kick, especially if Andy Reid is conservative or Kyle Shanahan wants to put some points on the board. But the weather, that is a factor, the sea level too, and maybe these teams going for it on fourth down. So I would be cautious about this one. Would like a better number, but I lean over.
Where you try to get this one, the over, your best friend is the last 2 minutes of the first half, where a team right before halftime will take that shot at a longer field goal. That's where it comes in, if it comes in more often than not. Then we have the shortest field goal, 25.5. So let's do the math so people understand. Basically, is somebody going to be on the 8-yard line or in kicking a field goal, yes or no? That's really the question here so that we can understand it. Because if it's on the 9-yard line, that's a 26-yarder. So they got to be 8-yard line or in, kicking a field goal and making it. Yes or no, Kenny White?
I'm going to say over, EK. I just don't think these teams will get that type of opportunity. I think the offenses, I think, are too good. Once they get in the red zone, I think they're going to score touchdowns. And not in the red zone, you're right. It's about the 8-yard line or less. So I'm going to go over the field goal, 26.5 yards.
Yeah, I'm going to go over as well, meaning I don't think there will be a short field goal, just so I don't, get that
you got it.
circular
You got
logic
it.
wrong. Yeah, I got it. I'm a genius. That's fine. So look, you take these teams, they're good on third down. They're great offenses. They're good in the red zone. They can convert third downs easily. I don't think we see a short field goal. I think they'll be aggressive. I will take the longer field goals in this case.
This one almost looks wrong to me. Like, I thought the total would be higher. It was 27.5, came down to 26.5. Now it's 25.5. I'll go with the guys. I don't think there's going to be a 25-yard or less field goal. I'll take the over.
All right, let's go to from kicking to punting. Total punts over under 6.5. Over is -135. Under is +105. Kenny, over or under 6.5 punts in Super Bowl 54?
Yeah, I took all those Super Bowls, those 8 Super Bowls that had a total of 50 or higher, and the median number was 7. And then I took every Super Bowl that scored 50 points or more, and the punts were 8 in those games. So it's just more possessions, more opportunities to punt, even though they are scoring points. So this just looks like an extremely low number. Give me over 6.5.
Yeah, I'll take the over here as well. When you look at these two teams, the defenses are underrated. The offenses aren't overrated, but everyone is expecting a ton of points. In my opinion, I think we'll see plenty of punts in this game as they try to be cautious with field position. Could get maybe a couple in the first quarter as they sort of feel each other out. I'll take the over with Kenny as well.
A lot of these props in agreement here with Kenny and Will. Give me your best prop. Let's say I'm only going to play one of these props of these props that we've listed out, because we've been propping it up for days as we close in on Super Bowl 54, now 4 days away. Kenny, give me your best prop among the ones we just spoke about.
Why can't I give you a better prop than one I think is going to win easily? Paul Stone, shots on goal for the Vegas Golden Knights on the road at Nashville over Patrick Mahomes' touchdown passes. Stone's median shots on goal last 8 road games is 5. And against Nashville this year, he had 5 shots on goal and 3 shots on goal. I don't think Mahomes is going to come anywhere near to 5 touchdown passes.
Wow, Kenny's going into the weeds on the props. I like that.
That
was good.
He's at California Baptist Bible College and Paul Stone shots on goal.
Right.
He's had himself a day. That's a guy who prepared for the show today.
Indeed. Will, what do you got? Your most favorite prop thus far?
I mean, I don't have anything for that. Paul Stone shots on goal. I'll take I really think that 1-yard touchdown is going to hit. You mentioned the pass interference. It's a great point. These teams like to take shots. They're not scared to do it. And they have a lot of receivers who can go up and be physical, as well as physical cornerbacks who might commit that penalty. I'll take that under 1 yard. Paul Stone. That's beautiful, Kenny.
I like the one, how many times will the Atlanta Hawks 28-3
The Falcons?
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Because of Kyle Shanahan. Over under a half.
And
I feel
like
like it's going to be mentioned.
You know which one I love.
Once.
Will the broadcast mention the fact that the San Francisco 49ers have the first woman to coach and be a coach in the Super Bowl? Yes, of course they will.
You got to lay like -600.
I'll lay whatever they want because I'm not going to have to give them anything. They're going to give me money.
Okay, there you go. Kenny, Will, great job propping it up here on Sportsline. Appreciate it. Take a look at their picks here. A lot of agreement here, a lot of consensus here. Largest lead of the game, over under 14.5 points. Kenny and Will say under. Shortest touchdown, over under a yard and a half. Both saying under. Longest touchdown, both saying over. So we're going to have at least a 47-yard touchdown here. Total net offensive yards. That's the one that I really like. I think if I'm going to play one of the props we just talked about here, I think that would be the one to go under 769.5. And we finish up here the longest successful field goal. Kenny says under 46.5. Will says over. Both saying over in terms of the shortest successful field goal, 25.5. Total punts. They both think there's going to be at least 7 punts in Super Bowl 54.
Yeah, so longest touchdown, longest field goal, both 46.5 yards. That's why they made the prop. What will be the longest score of the game, touchdown or field goal, because the number is exactly the same.
The Chiefs favored by 1 over the 49ers in Super Bowl 54, and Kansas City is 7-0-1 in their last 8 games overall against the spread. That coincides with their 8-game winning streak. For more on the betting side, we send it out to Miami. Amanda Guerra anchoring our coverage.
And welcome to Radio Row on this Tuesday. Of course, we are giving up for the big game on Sunday. Amanda Guerra joined by Kenny White here. We brought him down from Vegas. We are apologizing for the South Florida weather. He's going to get used to it at some point. All right, Kenny, your area of expertise, of course, is making money, which is why we like you. No offense.
Yes.
26 million Americans are expected to bet on the Super Bowl. We're going to do some prop bets here in a second. But first, let's go for the big one. Who wins the big game?
Let's go with Kansas City. These two are so
these
two teams are so close in talent. If they played 100 times, I say Kansas City wins 51, San Francisco wins 49. In this one game, I'll give Andy Reid the advantage in the coaching because he's so good off a bye. But during the regular season, off a bye, he may have an advantage where the other team only had a week. But in week one, he's even better in week one than he is off a bye. So he's 5-2 ATS and 6-1 straight up for the Chiefs. And I'll take Patrick Mahomes. So let's go Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
All right, let's go to the prop bets now. Kyle Juszczyk, such a unique player. He is a fullback there, but of course he gets a lot of receptions here. So over under 9.5 receiving yards for Kyle Juszczyk.
He's the guy that does all the dirty work. He's the lead blocker. He's also the guy that picks up the blitzes to protect Garoppolo. He's going to get a reception or two, and he's got great hands. He's really good out of the backfield. 24 times they targeted him this year, 20 receptions, so he's got great hands, as I said. But he averaged a median of 20 passing yards a game. It's only 9.5. They will use him in the passing game.
All right, let's talk about Deva Samuel here. I happen to know because you told me that BMAC put you up to this one. Is the rookie going to get jitters? Over or under for him, 4.5 receptions?
Yeah, just a couple jitters. BMAC he's right. Rookies coming into Super Bowl, boy, they're just like, this is such a different animal, this game. On the year, his median receptions was 4. Over the last 9 games. Actually, for the entire season, his median was 3. But let's look at just the last 9 games where it was 4. Last 2 playoff games, 2 and 3. The number's 4.5. Doesn't make sense to me. I'm going under the 4.5.
All right, let's stick with the 49ers. Let's talk about their defense here. That front four is just monstrous there. So during the regular season, 49ers had 48 sacks. In the postseason, they had 9. What's your play when it comes to sacks for the 49ers in this game?
The number for Patrick Mahomes' pass attempts is 38.5.
Okay.
I made him 41. So I think he's going to drop back 41 times. The Chiefs' offensive line does a great job in protection. They only allow a sack 4.9% of the time. So that comes out to 1.8 sacks. 49ers get a sack every 9.1%, which is going to come out to 3.5. So if you add the two together, my average is 2.7 sacks. So I'm barely over the number. But at 2.5, I'm getting plus $1.20. So I want to find something I have an advantage at that I get a plus price. So over 2.5 plus $1.20.
Were you good at math?
No, never was.
What? All right, now you have a unique one here, and I'm going to have you explain it to us because you are combining sports here.
Yes.
You're going with basketball and Pat Mahomes. How is this working out?
These are my favorite. These are an all-time favorite in props. You make more money on these than any other prop. First of all, I'm going to take 2 teams against an individual. So we know the teams are going to continue to play. There won't be a problem. The players will play the entire game. My total was 239 points.
Okay.
I'm getting 75.5 points added onto that, so I'm at 312.5. 314.5 I'm at. 314.5.
This is the Suns and the Bucks.
Suns and the Bucks, right. So I get the total points they score against an individual player. We know there's injury possibility. Even if Patrick Mahomes doesn't get injured and he plays the entire game, my number's 302. So I have an advantage of 12 points between those two. So that I think it's a very good prop because if anything happens to Patrick Mahomes, it's a guaranteed winner.
I think after this we just need to go offset, and you're gonna set me up, and I'm gonna be great for the big game. All right, so let's go for the MVP here. The favorite is Patrick Mahomes, and you say not so fast.
Yeah, quarterbacks have won the MVP. I think it's 29 out of 53, but more often the last 15 years, I think they've won 12. So it's a high percentage the quarterback's going to win it. But even money is not very fun. I think the Cheetah at 20-1, Tyreek Hill, has a great chance to win the MVP because he can return punts, kicks, and he's got such great speed. If he breaks one long touchdown, he's going to be the MVP.
All right. A really fun one. Let's go with, I'm trying to find fun prop bets. Will they show the Golden Gate Bridge?
I say no. Why?
No?
We're in Miami. I don't think so.
Yeah, but it's San Fran. They're not going to be like, oh, they come from the Bay.
They might. I guess, it is the big attraction there.
A-Rod at halftime?
Yeah, let's say yes, yeah.
Because Jennifer Lopez is doing the halftime show,
right? He's been out there.
We're in Miami.
He's choreographing, too.
Right.
He's there every day at practice, so.
It's probably going to be in it.
It could be.
The Wizard of Odds, Kenny White, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you, Amanda. Recapping Kenny White's picks for the Super Bowl. Kyle Juszczyk over 9.5 receiving yards. Deva Samuel under 4.5 receptions. San Francisco total sacks over 2.5. Suns Bucks total plus 75.5 against Mahomes passing yards. That's a cool one. And Super Bowl MVP Tyreek Hill at 20-1. You can get much more where that comes from on Sportsline for $1. Your first month is only $1 when using the promo code Philly. Just go to sportsline.com/join.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.